Hey guys, God bless you, and thank you for coming back to which I believe to be the last video in this series. Um, and It's been quite a journey. Um, as expected, a few more things have come to light on this subject. I just want to thank you guys as the subscribers for commenting and watching. I know I don't get a lot of views, and I don't really put any stock into that. The Lord has told me a lot of this material is for a future time when people will have questions about these types of things. So I don't take any, I guess, not offense really, but I don't take any stock into who sees or who watches or when they watch or even if they comment or not. I, I leave it all in God's hands, and He'll get them to where they need to go. But I do thank you for taking the time to liking or commenting. I really do appreciate it. It just gives me feedback knowing that it resonates in your spirit, what I'm saying. Um, his words to me, I take this information very seriously. You look at preachers today and they think they're doing the right thing. And some of them, I think, really have a heart for what they do. But in a lot of ways, they're not preaching complete truth. So speaking the words of God and showing the things of the Bible is really something I take very seriously. I would hate to be a preacher, which I guess essentially I am, but I would hate to be in a church with a building with a congregation. I really would find that very scary slope to be on. So I do take this job, what he's told me to do, and this is what he said: share with what I show you, share what I show you, and so it's an undertaking, and sometimes you don't think you're hearing, sometimes you do, and so it can be tough. I would say just say a quick prayer for me, guys. It's been a very trying time. A lot of these videos, I guess, are geared towards exposing the enemy, and believe me, it's taken its toll on me. And it's been very difficult, very difficult doing this. Um, you know, and I'm not going to compare myself to other people, and I will never do that. But it's been sorrowful for me. There's not much joy in this. There's joy when people see it, and and it resonates in them. But it comes at just, I don't know. It can be very troubling. So again, just please say a prayer for me, and I appreciate that. So I'm excited to tell you what I've been shown today. Through verses and what I've learned about the eye being the window to the soul, and the means of escape and everything else. The creation of the eye shows us a very perfect model. I had a picture, and I do have it. I'll be posting it later from Casey at Enter the Stars. It shows it just perfectly on how this all works. But okay, so here's where we're going today. So through verses again, we've learned that the eye is the window to the soul. Just like your home has a window, what you allow in, whether it's light or darkness, is going to affect your temple, okay? Because you are the temple. We also learned that the window is a means of escape, okay? And we learned this in Joshua. The creation of this eye shows a perfect model. All right, so let's share some verses to refresh our memory. Okay, so Rahab, when the spies came into Jericho, she let them down by a cord through a window. For her house was upon the town wall. She dwelt upon the wall. She said, "Get to the mountain." All right, and then they obviously left, and they went and hid at a mountain for 3 days. I say this here in this later in this document, but just keep in mind there's a lot of bride undertones here. I'm not looking for that right now. What I'm trying to show you is that this is the window of escape for the soul. Okay, and we know that these men were spies. Joshua, son of Nun, sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, and they went into Jericho. Now, I'm excited to tell you this because the Lord gave me a clue as I was thinking on this, and I never thought of it. So this is awesome. So there's a military operation, which is a means of extraction called spies. There's a means of extraction, which is spies, and then there's a mean of insertion called fries. which is fast rope. If you watch the movie Black Hawk Down, you'll see him do fast rope into Mogadishu. SPIES you don't really see too much, but it stands for Special Patrol Insertion Extraction System, or SPIES. And what you're going to hear, this is pretty cool. So the SPIES system is developed by means of rapid insert or extraction of a reconnaissance patrol from an area that does not permit a helicopter to land. Usually used in rough terrain, as water, whatever the case may be. Also used a lot in Vietnam because of the jungle territory. It's a rope that's lowered into a pickup site, which is usually like a small clearing, from a hovering helicopter. Patrol personnel, each wearing a special typed harness, will attach a carabiner to a rope, which is lowered down from the aircraft. A second safety line is attached to a D-ring located on the first. The helicopter will then lift vertically from the extraction zone until the rope and personnel are clear of the jungle or obstructions, whatever's there, and then proceed in flight towards a secure insert zone. So what the Lord was telling me is, just as these men were escaping out the window, okay, through the cord, which is the hyaloid canal, so too are these men escaping by means of an extraction. The reconnaissance patrol is an extraction technique. They're pulled out of territory, pulled out of harm's way. And this is a picture of it, okay? And you'll see them, behind here, and the rotor wash will actually make them spin a little bit, so they'll move out their hands and their legs. So now there is a lot in this portion, like I just stated a few minutes ago, about having to do with the bride and going to the mountain, but that's not the focus here, not in this particular study. What I'm saying here, and what I want to highlight, is that the soul escapes through the eye and pulled out through the eye. Having said that, then, we also have, I would also say that the enemy would harvest the soul through the same means. The enemy doesn't have the power or authority to simply just take a soul. Okay, first off, there's a free will thing going on here, and there's other things in place. All right, but there is an intense battle going on for our soul. So I believe he has to have a willing participant, which is free will first, and then he has to use technology or some means of technological advancement to harvest or take that soul, and it would come out of the eye. Just as the Grok showed with that elaborate lab that we looked at in the last video, all right, and Google Earth Area 51, the participant or host was in that shell or type of fixture, and the DNA was combined. And that dog, you remember the dog at the top of that contraption, I guess, for lack of better words, popped out, and that is the soul. We're going to look at it just briefly real quick. So this was that area at Area 51, and this little contraption here, and there's all kinds of things here. I don't know what all this means. You saw that huge entity here combining his mind essentially into this fixture, and then this guy's in here combining the human DNA. But what you can clearly see a dog here, and I tell you, I've watched the Groks for a long time. He shows this dog everywhere. It's shown in not just this, so this isn't just a coincidental thing. There is actually something going on here, and this dog pops out, and this is the soul. And I'll explain how it's the soul here in just a second. But what I want you to understand is, first off, it's a dog, and I've done videos on this, and I'll show those. I'll showcase here in this document here in just a second. But this soul pops out. It comes out of him, and I believe it comes out of the eye. All right, and that's the reason why these eyes are dark, is their soul has been taken. It's been harvested, and I'll show you here then in a little bit how. But anyway, this dog comes out. These are the clowns. All right, the clowns are the clones here in the world doing this. Okay, how this all works, guys, I don't have that much idea of, so is this a, an entity doing this, some sort of thing? I'm not sure, but essentially this dog is clear, and he shows it everywhere in his videos, and I'll explain exactly what it is. Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase here what I've done in other videos and how this works. All right, Jesus refers to himself as the bright and morning star. Okay, if you look in the sky, the bright morning star, by definition, in the when you research it, is the dog star Sirius. It's the brightest star in the sky. Okay, it's also called the rainbow star. The star itself is pure white light, which is made of all colors of the rainbow. All right, Joseph's coat of many colors. Joseph was betrayed by his brethren, just as Jesus was betrayed by his brothers. We're his brothers and sisters. Okay, many prophetic words say that. And okay, so Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the light." No, and there we go with the light again. Okay, in the colors of the rainbow, pure white light, the dog star Sirius. I'm the way, the truth, and the light. No man comes to the Father but through me. He is the gateway into heaven. He is the way into heaven. Jesus is the guardian of heaven on earth as it is in heaven. Our homes here on earth are guarded by our dog. Our dog is the approval authority for someone to come into the home, to go to the master of the house. All right, they're loyal, loving, they're our best friend, unconditional love. So he encompasses everything, and that's why dog is God spelled backwards. This is all purposed, okay? So Satan was expelled from heaven and hates the dog. And a perfect example of this was what the Lord showed me when I was overseas. Muslims hate dogs. They don't keep them as pets. They wander on the streets. They're not cared for. They're not loved like they are here. And I was always fascinated why. I was like, why do they hate dogs so much? Well, here's why. It's a simple explanation. We know that Satan poses as an angel of light, okay? And Gabriel, all right, which was Lucifer, posing as an angel in disguise, came to Muhammad to give him the, not documents, but the word of Islam, I guess, the doctrine of Islam, okay? But he wouldn't come to his house one time, and Muhammad got a chance to ask him. He's like, "You didn't come to my house the other night. Why is that?" And Gabriel, quote unquote, said, "Because you keep a dog. You kept a dog here." So Satan couldn't get past that dog. And that's why, and he says, you get rid of that dog and it's accursed. And that's why the whole tradition of why Muslims hate dogs comes from. And I've done a few videos that talk about this more in depth, but this is the case, okay? Just like in Wizard of Oz, I'll get you and, excuse me, and your little dog too. In other words, I'm going to get you and your soul, okay? Hold on. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so these are the videos that talk about that. I do a video on where heaven is located, and there's actually a means to get there, okay? And it's shown up in the star systems. It starts with Sirius, which is our connection, our Jesus, our God, all right? And it goes into the Stargate system and everything else. There's a couple, they're pretty short videos, but it goes into what Sirius really is. So yeah, I wanted to post this, and this is from Casey, Enter the Stars channel, and he portrays the eye in the hyaloid canal. So here we have Earth, a dome-shaped Earth, okay, and the hyaloid canal, which is on the same axis as Earth, a 23-degree axis, and the firmament, and this is the narrow gate. All right, you'll see this in the Hunger Games when she shoots the arrow and smashes the machine, okay, and tears the veil, essentially, to realize that she's in a prison. She's locked in. This is all a big game, a big show. All right, so that's the reasoning behind that. And, okay, so here we go. Here's some scripture, all right? So what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world? All these people that take this dark eye are gaining the whole world. Fame, fortune, wealth, politics, money, power, it's all there. But then in exchange, they lose their own soul. They gain the whole world but lose their own soul. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? In other words, what's it worth? Is there anything on earth really worth your soul? Okay. So the point is, you can exchange the world for your soul. That can happen. Okay? And this is the world in God's eyes. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, then the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, all right? Money, pride, sex, power, lust, um, you know, riches, all that stuff. It's the pride of life. Uh, and the Father is not of this world. All right. That's why if you love the world and the things in it, then you don't have the love of the Father in you. And that's a tough verse for a lot of people, people who like nice things, you know. Then they're not focusing on the eternal, they're focusing on what's right in front of them. And the world's going to pass away in the lust thereof. But he that does the will of God abides forever. This is exactly what these elite have done. Just as the Grok said, they've been tricked into this stance that they are in charge, that they will inherit the world, that it's all going to be theirs. They're going to run it. They're going to be gods here. They're going to, the whole kit and caboodle is going to happen for them. Everything's going to be restored, and that's going to be their little golden age. It's a direct, I can't say this enough. This is a very important portion here. This is a direct reflection of what happened in heaven. The tail of the dragon took a third of the stars and did cast them to the earth. What happens here is reflected in heaven, or essentially what's reflected in heaven is manifested in the physical. These are the third that fell with him, that took his lie and said, you know what? I think Lucifer's got a good idea. Let's do this. We originated in heaven, right? This is what the outcome was. 1/3 fell. I believe another third are lukewarm, and that goes into a whole nother discussion. But there is a discussion of, there are some that didn't make up their mind, that sinned at a lesser stance, essentially, in their heart by making no decision on who to follow. And then there's, of course, those that said, with all cost, we're following Jesus Christ. So anyway, this is what's going on. These elite have been promised the world, which is the lie. And here's another verse in Daniel 8. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, and toward the pleasant land, and waxed great, even the host of heaven. And it was cast down, and some of the host, some of the angels, and the stars to the ground, and he stamped upon them. He's going to use them for what he wants, for domination, and in the end, either he's going to kill them or destroy them. I'm not sure. All right, but they're all going to be judged and cast in the lake of fire eventually. So I'm going to close with this. Okay, this is really cool. This is how the Lord ties this in. This is amazing. So here we're going to close. I was at work last night at a convenience store, and I saw a pirate costume, and immediately hit me in the mind. And the Lord told me to go start researching this. So again, I'm going to say this. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that enter not by the door is your heart. Jesus Christ stands at your door, your heart, and knocks, asking to come in, to your heart, to your mind, to your temple. Okay, so he that enters not through the door, but into the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way, right? Some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. But he that enters the door into is the shepherd. Jesus Christ enters into your heart, which is the door. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his sheep by name, and he leads them out. And when he puts forth his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And I'm going to add here, and a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know the voice of strangers. We know that these people are wicked, all right? We are not going to follow them, but we will follow Christ. We are vessels of the Lord. Now, we're portrayed as a lot of things in the Bible. We're portrayed as dirt. We're portrayed as clay. We're portrayed as gold and silver refined. We're portrayed as trees in some aspects. So anyway, but we are vessels to the Lord. So this is an analogy the Lord uses. We fill up with either him or the enemy. Of course, we go through a process, just as vessels are made with a process. But in his great house there are only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and earth, some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself of these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use. Notice it says not Lord's use, but master's use. You got to choose who this is going to be. Either Satan or God. Jesus Christ is your master. And you can be used by Satan or you can be used by God. They are being used by Satan. They have chosen what type of vessel they want to be. So now this thief and robber has come in by some other way to them. Okay? Ship and a vessel, what's the difference? A ship is a large ocean-going vessel. A ship is a sailing vessel, uses wind power. A ship is a floating vessel that transports cargo. But a vessel, interesting, can be steered or moved by either its own means or other means. So a person, if you use this as an example, a person can be steered or moved, driven like a little machine, all right? Driven like a little spirit in you, driving you, doing what you wouldn't normally do, can be steered or moved with man-made energy. Man-made energy sources. Technology. Technology is what this is talking about. Man-made energy forces. Jesus comes into the heart and he enters in and gives you a new spirit, a spirit of Jesus Christ. Okay? This other means is technology, steered or moved by man-made sources. Technology. Probably the most important picture in this whole thing right here. The pirate. But he that climbs up some other way is a thief and a robber. They're climbing into your vessel. Thieves and robbers. The pirate. A pirate with his eye utterly darkened climbs up some other way. Man-made way. Man-made energy. Technology. Why do pirates wear eye patches? It's not, boy, what you think. Some assume pirates wear eye patches to cover a missing eye or an eye that was wounded in battle. But in fact, each eye patch was more likely to be used to condition the eye so that the pirate could fight in the dark. What's coming? Darkness. That's when these people will rise up. And there won't be any hiding it. It takes an average human eye about 25 minutes to fully adapt from bright sunlight to seeing complete darkness. If a pirate was fighting on a deck in the sunlight, then he had to continue to fight under the deck where it was usually pretty dark. It could take too long for his eyes to adjust and the pirate would to be able to see. The eye patch could be used to prepare one eye to see in the dark, so that they would go below deck and could swap the eye patch from one eye to the other and see with the eye that was already adjusted in low light conditions. This would allow them to see instantly in the dark. You see where this is going? These things will be working in the darkness. They're going to have to see in the darkness. Technology. But he that hates his brother is in darkness, and he walks in darkness, and knoweth not where he goes, because that darkness has blinded his eyes. Piracy is an act of robbery, criminal violence by ship, boat, or born attackers. All right, I just wanted to add this here. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. His sword shall be upon his arm, and his right eye, and his arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. I think this closes the case. God bless you all. Take care.